I am convinced, absolutely convinced, our grandkids will look back at how we lived our lives today and be shocked that we went through our lives forgetting 90% of what happens after a week. And they will be shocked. How did you live your life like that?
Welcome to the Imagine AI Live podcast. Today, I am so happy to have with us Dan Siroker. Dan, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me.
This is a pleasure. You're a speaker at Imagine AI Live, and I've been following you for some time now. Back when I saw you first on This Week in Startups with Jason Calacanis, but your products come a long way from then. It was Rewind, and now it's Limitless. It's an AI pendant that listens, that records everything that you pin onto your clothes, and it records everything. And that's kind of like your personal AI database, and you can then ask it questions, and it knows what you've done throughout the day wherever it's been listening. So first of all, tell me about Limitless.
Yeah, the inspiration for Limitless came out of the experience in my 20s of starting to go deaf. I have a genetic condition called otosclerosis, and when I tried a hearing aid, it was magical. To lose a sense and gain it back again felt like gaining a superpower. And ever since then, I have been on a hunt for ways that technology can augment human capabilities and give us superpowers. And that led me to memory. 90% of memories are forgotten after a week. It follows what's called the forgetting curve. And not only that, but as you get older, your memory gets worse too. Typically, people's memory peak when they're 20 years old, and then every year thereafter gets worse. So I really started this company trying to answer the question, if there's a hearing aid for hearing and glasses for vision, what's the equivalent for memory? And that's got started with a product called Scribe about 5 years ago. Then we pivoted to Rewind, like you said, this Mac app that captures what you see on your screen. And most recently, we've taken everything we've learned and put it into Limitless, which is this pendant I'm wearing, captures every conversation I have, everything I say, everything I hear, and gives me superpowers. It's the same feeling. The very first feeling I had when I put a hearing aid in was I turned a faucet on for the first time, and I looked at it in awe because it makes sound. I didn't know it made sound, that when you turn the faucet on, there's sound that comes out of it. And now the same is true of my memory. With a pendant, I remember everything. I can go back to a cute thing my kid said or an action item that came up in a work meeting. I can reflect on my day. I can be better. I can be a better parent, be a better CEO, be a better coworker, friend. And yeah, it's been amazing to see the uptake, and the market adoption has gone absolutely viral.
It's super exciting to hear and to see. So if for those that aren't seeing at home, you've got a little pendant that's like clipped onto your collar here. And could you talk a little bit about that pendant? It looks really cool.
Yeah, the pendant itself is very small, lightweight. You don't even realize you're wearing it. You set and forget it. You put it on in the morning. For me, I just turn it on and record all day, captures everything I say and everything I hear. And I'm able to access it in the app, the iPhone app. I can go back to the transcripts. We also create a hierarchical summary of everything that you said. So you sort of organize. Imagine you have like a personal stenographer organizing your day of the meetings you're in, the conversations. We kind of summarize it at sort of these different levels of hierarchy. And then you can take action on it. You can share things. You can ask AI questions. Every morning I get push notified, giving me an answer to the prompt, how could I have been a better dad? And it looks back everything I said yesterday, all the reactions to my kids, and really gives me very amazing actionable insights around things I said. And the magic of it is, we all live our lives like horses with blinders on. Like we don't even realize all of the experiences that's going on around us. And until you have that second look, that sort of that objective review of your day, you kind of can go through life in autopilot like a zombie. And I analogize it to, an NFL quarterback. If they throw an interception in a football game, just a few seconds later, they're on the bench with a printout of the safety they missed. They're learning in the moment everything they could be doing better. And the pendant can do the same for your life as well.
Yeah, it's so cool. Your memory superpower. And so it's recording everything, and it's just audio. And can you talk with the pendant itself, or is it through your app, or what interface is it that?
It's meant to get out of your way. So you don't talk to it. It doesn't respond back to you. It captures what you say. And then when the time is right, you can go to your phone and review it. We also push notify you proactively. Like I said, in the morning, I get push notifications on my to-do list and things I could do better, summaries of my day. But it's not one of these sort of Alexas that you wear where you ask a question, it gives you back answers. One day it might, but right now it's really, really focused on the specific problem of capturing your memories and making it really useful.
And so it's via an app on your phone.
Yes, yeah, exactly. A mobile phone app that syncs via Bluetooth the device, close to real time. You get the data on there, and you can start reviewing, and you can share things, you can copy things, you can ask AI, etc.
Wow. And so, iPhone and Android?
Right now, just iPhone, but Android is coming between some point Q2 or Q3 of this year.
And so what is the AI that runs it? Or is there an LLM that you're primarily using?
Yeah, so we really believe in building the best possible product experience. And so we actually feed all of your audio into a multimodal LLM. There are other sort of similar products out there, really just like sort of tape recorders in the cloud concepts where they just do basic transcription with like DeepGram or Whisper. We actually pipe all of your audio into an LLM. We do multimodal inference on it. And from that, we can glean all kinds of interesting things that then can become useful for you. Right now, we're using a set of LLMs from Google. We tend to actually build our business under the model that the underlying foundation models will get better and better. And so we want to be nimble and quick. So as a new model comes out from, who knows, we will be able to quickly adapt and move to that. So we're not wed to any particular underlying model. We've really designed our entire pipeline to be very nimble and be able to switch and move to a new model when it becomes cheaper and better.
Can you give us some business examples of like why a business person would want to be wearing this throughout the day?
Yeah, it really, it spans so much. So, one example is if you're in sales and you're talking to a prospect, your job in that meeting is, you're trying to do discovery, you're trying to learn about your prospect. You'd be surprised not only how much you miss in the meeting by not capturing or recording it in the moment. There are things they might have said or subtle objections that you've overcome. But actually, you might realize what you're saying isn't as effective either. So in any of these kind of dynamics where you're on the spot trying to sell or have a customer relationship, super valuable. Doctors, for doctors, it's super valuable being able to talk to a patient. Have you ever been to a doctor's office and the doctor is talking to you, but the whole time they're just sitting there typing notes? They're not looking at you. They're just literally typing notes like a court reporter. Wouldn't it be better if the doctor sat there, looked you in the eye, had a real relationship with you, and had the pendant take care of that conversation and by capturing it so they can do their administrivia and paperwork later? Real estate agents, every job, every profession can be done better by having perfect memory of what was said.
So let's get to the privacy aspect of it, because you brought up the doctor's visit, and I almost got this like kind of gut thing, like, well, wait, isn't there some like confidential stuff that I'd be telling the doctor? And how are you keeping the data secure and your privacy policy?
Yeah, I mean, it begins with just a fundamental understanding and belief that we have that your privacy and the privacy of the people you meet with are very important to us. It is absolutely critical to our product. Not just your privacy, the privacy of the person wearing it, but the people around you. It's really important that this product is good for not just you, but society at large. So, that's why we are investing in things like HIPAA compliance, so the processes we use are just as good as your hospital's processes for protecting your private information. That is important because that, ensures that we, do the right thing. But there's a huge difference, I should say, between we won't access your data and we can't access your data. The can't access your data part is a thing that I think would be the holy grail. And that's where we want to get eventually, where the models are so good that they can run all locally. Storage can be done all locally. We're not there yet. The magic and the utility of a lot of these products require models that are in the cloud. But it's only a matter of time and how fast LLMs are getting better, but you'll be able to do that all locally. And that's, I think, the truly holy grail when it comes to privacy.
Do people have a right to privacy when you're out in public?
Well, ironically, the legal definition of right to privacy is like when you're not in public. It's this notion of presumption of privacy. So when you're in public, legally, there's a legal bar, which is that you don't have a presumption of privacy. That's the legal bar. I think the bar that's much more important to overcome is a moral, ethical, societal bar, which is much higher than the legal bar. You'd be surprised the legal bar is actually very, very low, because as soon as there's any lack of presumption of privacy, a lot of the consent laws, one party, two party consent laws go out the window, because if there's no presumption of privacy, then it's, considered a public setting. But I think that sort of muddles the bigger picture, which is like, you don't want to be weird. You don't want to be this creepy asshole that captures things and freaks people out. And I'll tell you a secret. The reality is the perception of this problem is so much greater than the reality in practice. I've worn this every waking hour since we've, built the first dog fooding versions of it. And as long as I introduce the product as something like, hey, I got a bad memory, I'd love to remember this conversation. Do you mind if I use this to take notes so I can pay attention to you? 100% of the time, no problem. Even better, I often offer, hey, after this conversation, are you okay? I'll just share the notes with you after, the summaries and notes. So you and I both have the artifact. It's not like me holding this over you and I have some control because I've recorded the conversation. And those two things alone go all the way. I've never had a single person say, hey, take that thing off. That's creepy. That's weird. And so I do think, having now tried it and seen it and been in hundreds, if not thousands of social settings, this is one of those things that like today seems weird, but overnight will change. People will look at this as a huge superpower and value to themselves and to society at large. And I am convinced, absolutely convinced, our grandkids will look back at how we lived our lives today and be shocked that we went through our lives forgetting 90% of what happens after a week. And they will be shocked. They, how did you live your life like that? It would seem ludicrous to them that we live the lives the way we do today, having seen the magic.
Yeah, it is that like societal like hurdle to get over in today's world with cell phones everywhere. You know that if you're in a public setting and you do something stupid, or that it could be recorded, and it goes to audio as well. If you say something, it could be picked up by something. There's devices everywhere. So are you going into every room, like every social situation, and you're kind of giving that little, hey, this is being recorded, let me know if you want the recording afterwards?
Yeah, I mean, I do it when it's obvious. People know me as the Limitless guy, so like it's pretty clear, and I don't interact with many people who don't. And so, but yeah, and it's not like, may I have your consent to record? That's sort of like the legalistic thing, but it's basically like, look, this is things help me remember this conversation. Is that all right if I capture what you say, store it here, happy to share with you afterwards? That is, I introduced it that way. No one has any objections. That literally not a single person has asked me to turn it off or take it off, which tells me that, okay, there is definitely a perception here that might not be actually as bad as the reality is. And we hear this from users as well. Like, hey, they bought the pendant, we now have thousands of people wearing this thing. And they're like, wow, I'm surprised at how people are totally fine with it. And it actually, the value, and especially if you pull out your phone and show like, hey, let me show you what it gives me. This is my life log. This is everything I've said. This is how I can be a better dad because of this thing. This is how I can be a better coworker. I'm not going to fall, my action items aren't going to fall through. I think that really helps people realize this is good for society. This isn't just me trying to control what you say and cancel you afterwards.
It's a transcript that the pendant is keeping, and not like you can't replay the audio, or can you replay the audio?
Yeah, you can replay the audio. We have a feature where users can decide to auto delete that. So if they don't want the audio after a period of time, like 24 hours, they can delete it if that's what they would prefer. And that's, that I think is one way to sort of avoid this fear of like what could happen one day down the line, we get hacked or whatever, and then what happens to all the audio. And then when it's just a transcript, it's just words, there's nothing really there that can harm you.
Let's say you have a clutter word or something that you're trying to avoid saying. Can you like tell it to like, how many times did I say that today?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you can ask it any question of anything you said. What are the most common filler words I use? Oftentimes you might ask like, give me examples of conversations I've had today where I may not have heard the person's question the right way. I think I'm answering your questions. I might be not, I don't know. I might go back after this interview and say, hey, how could I have done this podcast interview better? And it goes back to and say, hey, Chris asked you about this, but you really answered that. Those are the kinds of insights into your life that I think really can help you be better.
Personal coaching, I think, is so valuable for AI to keep track of your goals and your daily goals and helping you hit them. Like, hey, you wake up like, oh, this is, hey, Limitless, like I want to make sure to get these things done today. Can you help me track during the day? And then you can come back to that and see if you actually did it. I think
absolutely.
That's so cool.
I mean, that's one of the most common things. You can talk to it throughout the. Oftentimes, people will just go on a walk and start talking to their pendant. Brainstorm to themselves. Throughout the day, you can say like, hey, remind me later to, remember the milk. And I can then ask it when I'm at Trader Joe's, what did I remind myself to remember? Even better, you don't have to tell it explicitly. We can identify your voice. When you start using the app, you do a little snippet of voice and say, this is you. And then implicitly, whenever you promise something to somebody, we can just keep track of it. You don't have to take out your phone and write a to-do list. You can just say, hey, Chris, afterwards, I'll send you an email with a copy of this transcript. And it will remember that that's what I said, because that's my voice. It recognizes my voice. It knows what the action item is. And it's frictionless. You don't have to take out your note and take a to-do list out anymore.
That's so cool. What does the app look like? You log in, and I mean, is it kind of like an LLM thing where it's just a search bar and you can like start asking it queries based on everything it's captured throughout its existence? Or
yeah, if you go to limitless.ai, we have some great screenshots of that. The very first thing you see is a life log, so a hierarchical list of everything you said, reverse chronological order, organized into these different chapters, and then a main call to action is ask AI, so you can ask questions of that life log, basically.
Yeah, your life log. That's really cool. What's the journey been there? You finding your right like product market fit here with Limitless?
We've been on this journey for 5 years. I mentioned earlier we started with a product called Scribe, which was it was March 2020. Everyone's doing pandemic Zoom meetings, and it joins your Zoom meeting and captures and records it. When we launched it, it was pretty novel. Nobody was doing that. And then it turns out like everyone and their mother thought, it'd be a cool idea, transcription and Zoom meeting. So it became very crowded. There wasn't much differentiation. Dozens of companies emerged after we launched, sort of copying what we were doing. And we really thought hard about what's the core value here. And we heard over and over again from our customers, they loved to be able to capture not just what's they're saying, but also what's on their screen. And so that's where we got this insight for Rewind. The Apple Silicon had just come out, M1 chips. It seems like, ancient history, but this is not that long ago. And it first became possible to capture and record everything on your screen, on your Mac, and make it searchable. Use AI eventually. It was actually before large language models, before ChatGPT. It was not before large language models, before GPT 3.5, which was ChatGPT. Then we realized the power of that, and that's what inspired us to move to Limitless, capturing real-world conversations. And this year, we're going to bring back all of the magic of Rewind, of screen capture into Limitless and sort of bring it all back together. But each pivot was kind of a deep insight from a user that led us to a better problem and a deeper problem that we could solve for them.
Yeah, that's really cool. So the roadmap there, you're planning to bring back that like kind of screen capturing awareness to the product as well.
Correct. Yes.
And that's interesting because there's certainly tons of AI companies that are doing that, or companies that are helping businesses like capture their screen and like optimize processes and things like that. Can you give us some like insight into, how that kind of blend with the audio capture, and then was it your phone that is capturing whatever you tell it, right? And
yeah,
how
so we have Rewind. We have a Rewind iOS app and a Mac app as well, and both capture your screen. The idea behind that is very similar to what we have this sort of set and forget it mindset where like you turn on the Pendant in the morning, you don't have to think about it. Same thing with your screen. There's a bunch of stuff you see that might matter, some that doesn't. We'll use a large language model to summarize it, organize it, keep it very structured so you can go back to moments that you need. And for the time that you lost your confirmation number, or you want to go back and review a meeting, or maybe you're debugging something, you're like, how did I actually get back myself in the state? You can retrace your steps. You can copy and paste from your past. All of those use cases we support with screen capture, and we expect to support with the Limitless integration of screen capture.
Jason Calacanis famously had an interview with you, and he got really agitated at the concept of this thing. And you were walking into a bar and having this thing on, and he's like, I'd punch a guy in the face that it had something like that on. And what do you say to people like Jason?
I think, I remember that interview very fondly. I think he's just wrong. I think he has this perception that does not live up to expectations and reality. Every new breakthrough technology, not just this one, but every single new breakthrough technology goes through these stages of evolution where first there's, shock, like, whoa, is this possible? And then there's kind of awe, then there's fear. And then all of a sudden, there's just expected. I've coined this acronym called SAFE to describe this. Self-driving cars, shock, awe, fear, and expected. Now, everyone expects, of course, there'll be self-driving cars. So this is just one of many technologies that go through that cycle. I think he just hasn't seen the magic yet. I guarantee you, he tries it for one day, he will sing a different tune. And certainly, if he meets somebody for the first time wearing it, I think he's probably doing that now, given how many people are wearing this thing out there. And I wonder how many of them he's punched in the face. We'll see. I'll follow up with him and see how often he punches people in the face. But I can tell you this now, whether he likes it or not, it's inevitable. This is millions of people will wear this device or something similar from a competitor. I cannot imagine living life without it. And like I said, our grandkids will be shocked. They'll not only be shocked that we didn't live our lives, that somebody like Jason would say something as crazy as he said, that it would be, that they would punch somebody in the face if they saw somebody wearing it. I look forward to that day.
Yeah. Well, he very well could change his tune on that. You've picked up this trend early, and now you're getting lots of attention about it. And where do you see the future of this technology in 5 years?
I think this is part of a broader trend of human augmentation, augmenting human intelligence with artificial intelligence, not replacing human intelligence with artificial intelligence, but augmenting human intelligence. And I think this is a long roadmap. We publish our roadmap, by the way. If you go to roadmap.limitless.ai, it's all public. You can see where we're heading. We got some crazy ideas coming, and we think this is just the first step of many.
What is the price at right now? And people can buy this. They can go online and buy it, and it's for pre-release, right? Or are you actually shipping?
It is shipping right now, yeah. In fact, just an hour ago, I did something no CEO has ever done before. I did this crazy thing. So my first company was called Optimizely. It's a website A/B testing company. I thought, you know what? I should live and walk and breathe this concept of A/B testing experimentation. So we A/B tested our prices for the Pendant. And normally people are very secretive about this, and they don't tell people. It's like, pisses people off. We decided to not only A/B test it, but publicly launch the results. So we put it out there. And we tested $99, $199, $299, $399, $499. And we got a lot of people buying it at $4.99. And, you know, not only did we publish it, but we did this crazy thing. Then we also chose not to charge $4.99. Instead, we decided that was just for the pendant. Instead, we're going to do $1.99 for the pendant. So you buy the pendant today, it's $1.99. It's a great deal. And then for $3.99, you can get not only the pendant, but a bundle with our unlimited subscription, which is what everyone wants. Everyone wants to be able to just sort of set it and forget it, keep it on all day, not have to think about the number of hours you can transcribe. That saves you a ton of money if you did that. If you go to limitless.ai now/pricing, you'll see it saves you $388 by bundling it all together. And that's what we just launched. So, you know, we also share our gross margins. Yeah, check it out. I don't know if I'm going to live to regret sharing all of these information. I'm sure our competitors are very excited to see all this data, but we thought it was the right thing to do to be fair and transparent.
What's been the biggest?
I should say, everyone who got charged that higher price, we will retroactively give them a credit. So if you paid $4.99 for the pendant, now it costs $1.99. We're going to refund $300 onto your credit card. No questions asked. You don't even have to ask for it. We'll do it automatically. Just be clear. We're not trying to gouge people here. If you're part of the A/B test, you'll only get the best price that we offered at the end.
What's been the biggest challenge of building our hardware product?
I've reflected on that question a lot. And I think the theme of my answer is that everything I thought would be easy turned out to be hard. And everything I thought that would turn out to be hard turned out to be easy. So it was this misset of expectations I had. For example, you know, I thought the electrical engineering would be hard. I thought, like, you know, I took an EE class at Stanford, and I ended up doing computer science because I thought that was much easier. I was like, this EE stuff's kind of tough and hard. And it turned out that was really easy. We just got a PCB done, custom made, super easy. That electronics, super easy. Hard part, coordination. Software people are very different than firmware people, which are very different than hardware people. And they don't talk the same language. They all work different ways. So that coordination across disciplines was challenging. Time zone challenge. You know, we're building in Shenzhen, which is sort of the center of the world for high quality mass production of consumer electronics. That's been a huge challenge, coordination and communication with our team out there. So, you know, that's been the most disorienting thing, is having this my first hardware product. Is just everything I thought would be hard turned out to be easy, and everything I thought that would be easy turned out to be hard.
Talk about your team and where you're at today.
Yeah, we're 15 people, remote first, distributed all over the US. And, you know, we've got this amazing team. I learned the lesson my first time running a company at Optimizely. We grew that to about 450 people. And I honestly think at a team of 15, we get so much more done than we ever did with a team of 400 at my last company. There's something to be said about experienced people, small, tight-knit team, highly aligned, really high ownership, high autonomy culture that just outperforms large teams. So that's what we're doing, and it's been working really well.
What's your marketing strategy?
So our marketing strategy is a combination of building a product that people want to talk about. So word of mouth. We benefit tremendously that people wear the product, they wear it proudly. And the early customers, you know, we got a huge weight. You know, we kind of launched this thing on a whim where we put out an early version of it just to gauge interest, put pre-orders out, and got like thousands and thousands of pre-orders before we really knew that we want to do this seriously. So those early adopters are now getting all their pendants now, and they're sort of our boots on the ground, sharing from the prophecy of what we're trying to do. And so that's been our biggest strategy. You know, I try to be transparent. I put marketing videos out there on Twitter and on LinkedIn and YouTube. That helps as well.
So you're coming to Imagine AI Live. We're super excited to have you there. How many pendants are you bringing to Imagine AI Live, and what can our audience expect there?
To be determined. You know, we have a long list of folks who've been waiting eagerly for their pendants. So I might be able to sneak a few with me, but we'll see. You'll have to stay tuned to see if you can earn one.
Awesome. Is there anything else that you'd like our audience to know that you think that we might have missed?
I think the true potential for technology is to enable it to overcome our biological limitations. Like I said before, we all live our lives like horses with blinders on. You don't even realize those limitations exist until you feel like what it's like to overcome those limitations. And we hope that Limitless can help you with that, and give it a try at limitless.ai.
This technology, it's going to make people more productive, be able to do more because you can remember the things that you've done and said. Do you see economic unlock here for people, but then, you know, society at large too?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's definitely an economic unlock here. I mean, this massively improves people's productivity. I have 3 young kids, and I try to get home in time for dinner by 5 p.m. And so this product makes me so productive. You know, it makes me a better dad by being more efficient. I'm able to get more time, more things done. So just that alone, I think can have a transformative impact. And it also takes the drudgery away. Like, who wants to take notes? Who wants to do following up on action items? These are things that a computer can do exceptionally well. And I'm all for, outsourcing, the technology to augment me. And then I do the parts I love, the things that give me purpose.
Well, Dan, thank you so much for joining the Imagine AI Live podcast. And I really look forward to meeting you in person in Las Vegas, May 28th to the 30th.
Looking forward to it. Thanks very much for having me.